Hi, and welcome back to our video series on Photoshop. In this video, we will be discussing about the color panel and swatches panel, and also a little bit about eyedropper tool. If you have watched our earlier videos, you should know that the window menu is the menu where all the available panels in Photoshop exists. Go ahead and take a look at the window menu in your Photoshop. And while you are looking around, make sure you have color panel and swatches panel active and visible in your interface from the window menu, of course. Before we move ahead, open the PSD file I have provided in the tips and tricks video. In case you don't have that, download it from the description below. Assuming you have these panels active, let's continue. The swatches panel is where you will have some predefined colors for you to use if you want. If you move your cursor to the color palettes in the swatches panel, you will see that the cursor has changed to an eyedropper icon. The cursor will change when hovered over the color palettes, regardless of what tool is active at that given time. Mouse over for a little longer over a palette and you will see the name of the color. Double click and up pops a dialog box. If you desire, you can change the name of that particular color. Well, let's not do any change in the name to this color. So click cancel. Now, had you single clicked on the color palette, you would have selected that color and the foreground color square at the bottom of the toolbox will tell you what color you have chosen. And the same happens to the similar looking squares on the color panel as well. On the top of the swatches panel, just under the name tab, we have a separate line of color palettes. This is the color history. New colors will be added to this bar as you go on selecting different colors. If you keep selecting different colors from the swatches panel's color library, that new color will add to the color history and the oldest color will get removed from the bar. You can also recall a previously chosen color from the color history bar itself, and the history bar will be updated accordingly. Now, the best thing about the swatches panel is that you can create a custom color and add it to this panel for future and regular use. We will see that a bit later in this video. Let's look at the color panel. I have already shown you the two squares that look similar to the foreground and background color squares. Well, these two and those two are same, foreground and background colors. You can choose a color and you will see change in both the sets of squares. Now, there is a large color area in the color panel and a vertical bar with a spectrum of colors. You can choose your desired color from the vertical spectrum and then fine tune the shade as per your liking from the middle part of the color panel. This middle part is called hue cube. Now, if you look at the top right corner of the color panel, you will see the X icon for close. Well, look below that. You will see 4 horizontal lines stacked together. That's the option menu. Click it to see a drop down menu providing you various color sliders like RGB slider or CMYK slider. You can choose any slider to tweak your chosen color if you desire. Now, let's go back to our hue cube from the option menu at the top right corner of the panel. Now pick a color, fine tune the shade you like and see the foreground color square change. Similarly, click on the background color square to select it and choose a color for it as well. In this decision making, the foreground and background color squares play a very important part because they are the ones telling us what color have we chosen and what color is active now. Now go ahead and click on the foreground color square. Any square will do, whether it is on the toolbox or on the color panel, doesn't matter. Just go ahead and click it. And here pops the new dialog box called color picker. And in the bracket, it shows whether it is for foreground or for background. So no need to worry there if you have forgotten what you have clicked on. Now, the main use of this color picker panel is when you don't have color panel visible or active and you quickly want to change the foreground or background color, or if you want to save your foreground or background color. Now, you might wonder why we need to save a color when it's already on the color history bar. Well, maybe not all of you were wondering, but I did when I was learning. We want to save a color because history is not forever. You choose too many colors and your color is gone from the color history. You close Photoshop window, your color history is lost. Actually, entire Photoshop history is lost. So you might want to save some colors you tuned yourself. And to save that, just choose the color in Color Picker dialog box and click Add to Swatches. On click, a dialog box appears requesting you to state the name for your new color shade. Type a desired name and click OK to add it to the swatches color palettes. And we are back to Color Picker dialog box. So we saved our first color. Now with time, you will be creating and saving a lot of colors in the swatches panel. And when time comes, you might need some space for new swatches. Or you may want to share your swatches with other designers. For that, you can click on the option button at top right corner of the swatches panel and click on Save Swatches. You will see a new dialog box similar to ones when we save a file. Save the current swatch as swatch 1 and save it. Your saved swatch will be available to you whenever the need arises. And you can share your swatch files with other designers as well. Just remember to open the swatch file with Photoshop. But with so many different designing tools, there comes a time you may want to use your current swatches in programs other than Photoshop, like Adobe Illustrator or Adobe InDesign. What then? Well, you can use the saved swatches files there as well. All you have to do is save the swatches a little differently. Click on the option menu of the swatches panel and click on Save Swatches for Exchange. This will save the swatches in a different format, which will be usable across other programs in Adobe's Creative Cloud. The swatches you saved now is nothing but a color library. There are various other predefined color libraries available for you in Photoshop. Just click the option button on the swatches panel again and you will see lots of color libraries at your disposal. Let's click on any one of the Pantone color library. When clicked, a dialog box appears to ask you whether you want to replace the current swatches. You can click OK to replace, or you can append to add the library to your current active swatches. For now, we will replace the active swatch with Pantones. And here they are. Pantones are basically used for print media, like books and others. You can see all the colors of Pantone library in the panel. Take a moment to explore them in your own Photoshop interface. Now, let's go back to our previous swatches library. But how? Is it there in the list of libraries? Well, if you recall, we just saved our swatches library. So, click the option button of the swatches panel again and find and click on Replace Swatches. Now find the swatches library you saved and replace the Pantones with your library. Moving on to the next topic. If you have watched my previous videos on layers, you will know what the opacity of layers is. So, use that knowledge to lower the opacity of few layers you like. And now, overlap them. Now, you can see that due to the transparency of these layers, the overlapped part of other layers are also visible. And so does a new shade of color on that overlapped area due to mixing of colors of the overlapped layers. This is also an interesting way to create new hues of colors or get an entirely new shade of color. And you can use the eyedropper tool to pick that color and maybe add it to the swatches panel. Let's look at the eyedropper tool now. This tool is used to pick colors from an image or from swatches panel or from an image of another file. All to be used when you can't find or match the color shade you desire. Just click anywhere on the canvas to see the foreground color square change as the eyedropper tool picks the visual shade of the color from your clicked spot. Now hold the click for a second. You can see a big circle around your cursor with two shades of color. The bottom shade indicates the current active color for foreground color square or background color square, whatever is currently in selection. The upper shade is what your dropper tool is about to pick. You can hold the click and move the cursor around to see the upper shade change according to the colors under the eyedropper tool. When you are satisfied with a particular color, release the click and that color will be the new active color in active square of the foreground and background square set. Now moving on to next topic. While working with web or media displays, RGB color scheme is used. But if you are to work for print media, you will need to switch to CMYK color mode. You can easily do this by going to image menu, then mode, and here you can see all the color modes available. Click on CMYK mode. You might have noticed some change in the colors of our canvas. If not, press Ctrl Z to switch back and forth to RGB and CMYK color modes. You can now see the changes in saturation of the colors. This is because CMYK mode is not as vibrant as RGB mode. You can also change the color mode to grayscale mode should you wish to go to black and white scheme. But remember, once you choose grayscale mode and make any changes to the layers, there will be no going back to RGB or any other mode. So choose wisely. Let's undo the grayscale mode back to RGB mode. This is all for this video. From the next video, we will be advancing to next stage of Photoshop tutorials, where we will learn more of editing and creating than understanding the interface. See you in the next video.